What's up, guys? It's the Four Horsemen Fantasy Football Podcast. My name is Josh Romine. With me tonight, I got Alex Deviney Stoner. How are you, Alex?
Hi.
Hello, sir. I have Brent Auker. Hello, Brent.
Also, hi.
We are missing Joshua Van Cleve tonight, but that's all right. We're gonna push on, so he will be missed, but we're gonna get on without him. This is going to be our My Guys episode. So, if you've ever listened to the show before, you know that I fall in love with people for absolutely no reason, and then I kill them. So, the show is going to be me naming some people, and you guys are going to make fun of me, and then I actually get to return the favor, hopefully, and make fun of you guys for your picks. But
that won't happen.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it works out. I also have a little bit of news that we will go over. It's kind of a rough weekend for preseason football. But before we get into that, get on Twitter. Follow us, Four Horsemen Pod. It's the number 4. Remember that. I know it's probably been a while you've forgotten, but it's the number 4 Horseman Pod. You can also send us emails, draft questions, trade questions. It is that time of the year. It's the 4horsemanpod@gmail.com. So without further ado, you guys want to go ahead and get in the news?
Yes.
Yes, we do. That's what I want to do.
Sorry, the server keeps rebooting. I'm freaking out about it.
Well, I forgive you, but you've got work to do right now. First
okay,
piece of news.
I apologize.
I accept it. Spencer Ware
Shit.
tore his PCL in addition to other damage per Adam Schefter and is expected to miss the season.
Don't care.
Kareem Hunt should be drafted before Fournette, McCaffrey, Cook, and Mixon in redraft leagues.
Oh, go fuck yourself.
Wow.
Whoa.
You've got to be kidding me. Hell no. My God.
So,
God.
So, Kareem Hunt, I think he has the best situation out of any of those. No,
Is that your true feeling?
We literally just talked about this before the show, so you already forgot.
Okay,
took one statement to get out.
I've been doing a lot of things, okay? I've been trying to multitask. The server's crashing over here. I'm trying to fix that shit. I'm sorry. I thought you were dead serious.
I'm giving a bold statement.
There's
people
I apologize.
And
I apologize.
There are people out there that could believe that, maybe guys that aren't higher on the rookies. He has a good situation. He's in the Andy Reid offense. It's a run-heavy offense. Obviously, Alex Smith sucks. He could be in the best situation out of any running back. There's got to be some merit to that. Kind of what I want to gauge is where you guys are drafting him or where you think that he should be drafted. He was already going, the end of the first round rookie drafts. Where's he going redraft leagues now?
I mean, wasn't he going around 3rd or 4th round? Or, wasn't Spencer Ware going 3rd or 4th round?
I think he was going a little bit later.
Yeah, I thought it was around 5th or 6th round, but it was getting closer to Kareem Hunt, who was in 7th, 8th round. They kept getting closer and closer in ADPs.
Can you really put him higher than that, though? Higher than what Spencer Ware was going? That doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, going, 3rd or 4th round. If he was going 5th or 6th, nothing changed. To me, I don't see any reason that you should be all of a sudden saying, oh, okay, well, Kareem Hunt's the only guy there, so we're going to go ahead and put him in the 4th round, ahead of, some potential wide receivers, I don't know. I think that when it comes down to it, he's now, well above, Sanjay Perine, which I think that everybody's pretty – he's got to be tumbling at this point. He has looked terrible. But I don't know. There's something that kind of scares me off about him, and I don't want to overpay for him just because now his situation is a little bit better. I think that Spencer Ware's situation was exactly the same. So why would we draft him a round or two higher when we know even less about him than we do about Spencer Ware?
Well, I just think the opportunity's there now. Exactly. There's no one behind Kareem Hunt. Charkandrick West is not a handcuff technically.
C.J. Spiller.
Okay, but
Spiller killers.
Is he gonna? Okay, wait, real quick. Does C.J. Spiller make the team now?
Yeah.
I think he probably will. But
I think he does.
Like right now, Kareem Hunt, from what I'm seeing here from Fantasy Pros, he's going at the end of the 4th round, early 5th round now, right at the turn, pretty much. Like he was a high prospect, very well scouted, and I think he's got the talent to be a 3-down running back. And he's on that running back heavy team where they utilize their running backs quite a bit in that offense. Andy Reid has always kind of used one guy there. And if I was drafting today, I would consider him right there, probably mid to late 4th round. I still don't draft him above any of those other top 4 rookies, though, the rookie running backs.
Seeing, like, I'm talking mainly redraft because what my statement was going to be is Kareem Hunt is this year's Jordan Howard. A running back that just, like, gets into a situation that is juicy. He's going to see lots of touches. He should produce. I don't know. Like, I think if you're getting him in the 4th round, I think that's fine. I think there's people that are going to pick him at that turn. Like, if he's at the 3-4 turn, you're looking at like Isaiah Crowell, guys like that. I don't know.
Okay. Would you rather have Michael Crabtree or Kareem Hunt?
I mean, depends on your team makeup, but like head-for-head players, I would take Kareem Hunt.
Aaron Rodgers or Kareem Hunt?
Well, I don't want Aaron Rodgers. I don't want a quarterback.
I'm going to go Kareem. I mean, I'm going to go running back over quarterback regardless. Like that. I mean, that to me, that's not even a legitimate. Well, okay, for me, that's not a legitimate question. But I mean, I know that for other reasons.
Carlos Hyde or Kareem Hunt?
Carlos Hyde.
Ooh, that is actually a little bit. Because the thing is that Carlos Hyde, you've got things behind him and you've got an injury history, whereas Hunt is the guy they don't like really what's behind him. I mean, they hate Sharknado. I mean, they were ready to cut his ass.
Yeah, they should cut him.
And he's going to be well, and he did terrible too. I mean, he did so bad. Like I think he had like 3 or 4 rushes for a -1 yard. Not good.
They should bring Jamal Charles back, who actually looked pretty good. Did you see any of that game?
No, I didn't.
Guy's knee brace off. Like he was making cuts.
You're never going to sell me on a 30-year-old running back. Bud.
He's younger than Marshawn Lynch.
Okay, it's still hard enough for me to even.
He's 1 year older than LaShawn McCoy. Like, I'm just saying, like, could be.
LaShawn McCoy and Marshawn Lynch have not had as many injuries,
right? And that's the downfall.
I mean, the thing is, the reason why running backs trail off so quickly is because of the injuries. It's because of the constant beating that their bodies take.
Sure.
Now, granted, we should have seen that in Marshawn Lynch, but he took an entire year off. So you would think that he has at least like half a season where he should be okay. Like we'll see in the latter half of the season what ends up happening. But
sure, I get it.
But now wait, hold on. I got a secondary question because you asked it.
Yeah.
Of those guys, you have to pick one. Who would you pick Hunt over if you had to make a selection?
Out of the rookies?
Of the rookies?
Out of the rookies that are going before him.
Are you talking
would you pick?
Dynasty or redraft?
I'm just what your question
I think it's different.
Correct?
Yes.
Okay, your question was redraft, so we're doing redraft.
Brent, do you want me to answer first?
Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, I've already got my answer.
I take Hunt over all of them. Right now, in redraft, if in Dynasty, I would take all those guys over Hunt. I think that this year's value, I think that Hunt could be the best value of all the running backs. And I found myself drafting Fournette in the third round and hating it.
You're talking value. Like I'm talking about, okay, you're picking, like somebody says, okay, you get to pick one of these guys. Like it's a rookie draft. I don't care. Of those players, you're telling me that you take Hunt before all 3 of the 4. I mean, you got Cook, you've got
McCaffrey.
I would take
Mixon,
him before McCaffrey
and Fournette.
I would take him
before all of them.
I don't even understand who you are right now.
Well, like, did you hear my
That
reasoning?
makes zero sense. But the thing is that there are other guys that have clear-cut paths too. I mean, Fournette doesn't have any competition.
Except he has a foot injury already.
You know what? He could
And
probably
Jacksonville is
he's
horrible.
still going to be better.
Dude,
But
I'm just saying, like,
they didn't
look
run
at
the
it.
ball.
I
Run the
know,
ball
like,
good last year.
I know, but
like,
at first,
even with Spencer where they didn't run the ball very well last year. Man, I'm knocking my screen around
you're
like
very
crazy.
excited. But I think
I'm
what Spencer
super
Ware
excited.
had what, like 1,300 total yards last year? I have no idea. I can't remember. I feel like he was
Spencer
pretty
Ware
good,
had
though.
1,300. Jesus.
Did he? I could be
Did he
completely
really?
wrong. I'm spitballing that. Look it up.
I mean,
but
maybe.
I know that
I'll look it up. Keep talking.
He was like the 16th or 17th running back last year. So I know he caught a lot of balls and he had a lot of time. And that was also with his, first year with Charles going down to injury. So it was kind of in flux. I could see a similar situation where Kareem Hunt puts together some sort of season where he combines for around the total yards, 6 or 7 touchdowns.
I kind of see what you're saying, Romine, especially in redraft. I mean,
Yes.
McCaffrey has Jonathan Stewart taking touches away, even though McCaffrey looks amazing. Even Cook, he's got Latavius Murray, which whatever, it's
Minnesota,
Latavius Murray.
Minnesota is worse than Kansas City as far as the run games go.
They paid that guy. They're going to give him at least some touches, and that's going to take
He
production
looks so
away
bad.
from Cook.
So
But you'd be hard-pressed to get me to take him over Fournette. Maybe Mixon, just because you don't know when Mixon's actually going to get that full workload. He's got 2 other running backs he's competing with, unfortunately. But I think I would take him third in that list, still behind Mixon, though.
Even
You're right.
redraft.
1,300 total yards. Jeez, I did not think
thought
that he had
so.
that many receiving yards. Well, I mean, he didn't crack 1,000 yards, which to me is kind of a sign that, like, that's honestly, I was looking at that more than anything.
But
however, I understand. However, the problem is that I don't know how much Fournette's going to be catching the ball. So I mean, I can see where there's some issues with that. I mean, but I honestly, in good conscience, cannot put him ahead of any of them except for McCaffrey.
And I really think that that's mostly due to name recognition. I think it's because we've been talking about it all year. I think that this is a big injury. And yeah, it was kind of, supposed to be funny to get you riled up. But when you really think about it and put it in perspective, it's not that far off. Like, I think that people would be better off drafting somebody else in the first 2 to 3 rounds other than Mixon and Cook and McCaffrey and Fournette. And if they can get Hunt on the 4th, all day, because I think that he could be statistically better. Let's move on to my next piece of news. Another sad one. Julian Edelman tore his ACL, and he's going to miss the entire season. My statement: Chris Hogan should be drafted in the single-digit rounds of your drafts. What say you? He was basically being undrafted.
Where was Edelman going?
Probably like
7th round, I think.
Yeah, 7th or 8th.
Then yes, I agree with that.
I don't think it's unreasonable to draft him in the single digits because he had a huge playoff run last year. Brady trusts him. I think what it does, this Edelman injury, it gives you a little more clarity on, I think, some of their wide receivers. I think it really improved the value of Chris Hogan, but I think it more improved the value. Like, you're more confident in drafting Brandon Cooks a little earlier, I think. Same thing with Gronk. I think it really benefited him because I think he's going to get more looks. I mean, and even so, I think it just benefited the running game even. Whoever's running the ball there. I just think the security blanket that Julian Edelman was, they're going to change up their game plan a little bit, and it's going to benefit every other skill position, I think.
Yeah. I was listening to a podcast today that they were talking about it, and somebody was like, I don't understand why people think that the Edelman injury is going to push like Cooks up anymore or push Hogan up because they don't play that slot position. But I think Cooks is going to be a boss this year. I went from just liking him as like he kind of was last year, a guy that could boom or bust. I think that he's going to see a lot of targets in that offense.
I disagree, but I agree that this really that Chris Hogan could be Like, I just don't feel like Cooks is that type of player, and he's never been that type of player. So I don't know. They still have, even without Edelman, they still have a lot of pieces that they can throw, and it seems like they can grab anybody off the street and have them catching dump passes, around the field. So I'm not really thinking, oh, this, I kind of agree with what you're saying, Brent, and that it clears some of it up, but it doesn't completely clear things up, because I think the only reason it clears it up is that you were wondering, okay, well, Edelman's kind of like the high dollar like name, and New England's all about like getting rid of those guys. And so, because it was like Wes Welker, and then there was Edelman, and they were like, oh, we're going to remember that one time when they started Edelman over Wes Welker, and we were all like, this is the stupidest thing we've ever seen. And then, Edelman's being drafted, in single digit rounds, 5 or 6 years later. I think that he was one of those guys that was probably going to be on his way out. I would not be shocked if this is the last time he's ever played for New England. And I think that Hogan is kind of that replacement player that they are going to throw around and do stuff with, because he had a great game. I mean, did you see the stats for Hogan?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He had a great game. So, I don't think that it really clears a lot up, but I think that it does clear up that, like, little white guy position that they I know it's hard to say. I know it's ridiculous, but that's what they had these little white guys, Amendola, Chris Hogan, they had Wes Welker, they always had this little like slot receiver white guy.
I hate that around. Though. It doesn't got to be white though. It's just what they've done. But
it's just what they've done.
Oh, I think Malcolm Mitchell. I think Malcolm Mitchell's going to take over.
That was when I wrote that one out. That was what I wanted to hear. So him not being on the episode and me getting to look at his muted screen while he listens to us talk is kind of disappointing. But I don't know. I don't think that I would reach up there and take Hogan that early, but I get why people would. I think that he'll probably just be getting drafted by another team, because I haven't ended up with much Edelman anyways. I didn't really like it anyway. Yeah. But
I think he was going a little like where he was being drafted. I just was missing on him.
Yeah,
I like him as a security. Well, I liked him as a security blanket. He was in kind of the same talk of Crabtree,
Fitzgerald,
Fitzgerald. Those guys that are going to get high volume PPR kind of stats, and so that's kind of a hit on that field, because it's one of those stable players that's out of that grouping, and that's a little tough. So I think we'll kind of see where that kind of shakes out, but it's a loss as far as if you've already drafted, because you were drafting him either as your number 1 or your number 2, depending on your team makeup.
Who do you think is going to have a better statistical season, Gronk or Brandon Cooks?
Gronk.
Yeah, Gronk.
Easily.
Yeah, he puts up wide receiver 1 numbers.
I just hope he stays healthy this year. That's the only thing you worry about, because he's going to eat. He's going to be a beast.
Oh my gosh, guys, I'm so excited that for the first few games, I'm not going to see that stupid cereal bowl thing from Ezekiel Elliott. Oh my gosh, I hope he breaks his damn hand so he can.
If he appeals this and it goes into the season, he could still suit up week 1, depending on how
goes.
Tuesday, tomorrow.
Great. I hope he does, because you know what that ends up doing? Taking him out in the middle of the season or toward the end of the season, and they miss the playoffs because of that shit. That's why that shit is so stupid. Just take your punishment.
Yeah,
like it's exactly what happened with Lane Johnson last year. Yeah. They went 4-0 while he appealed, and then he missed 10 games, and I think they went 2-8.
Yeah,
it's stupid. Just take your punishment.
Hopefully they just get it all figured out and we all know where it's at. If it's 4 games, 6 games, whatever it is, I just want to know. Next piece of news. Le'Veon Bell tweeted out that he will be returning September 1st to the team. My bold statement: Steelers shouldn't spend their money on Lev this next season and let him walk. He's a distraction. It can't be good for the team. What do you guys think?
Every teammate on there wants Le'Veon Bell there.
Right.
I don't think
Yeah.
he's that much of a distraction. Like, they want him there.
His
They
rap is
know
terrible.
he should get paid.
I know.
So
If you guys have not listened to it, people love it. I think it's garbage. And I like Le'Veon Bell. Seems like a super nice guy.
Wait,
He's a
like
rapper.
he has a. Oh, I mean, I don't care about how he raps. I care about how he carries the damn ball into the end zone.
I care about him being distracted. He's already had off-field incidents. I don't know. I'm just saying. I know it's bold. He's easily top 2 best running backs in the league as far as talent goes. He can
Could I
catch,
see
he can run,
them-
he can do everything? But
Because of how much they're paying other players, I would not be shocked if he walked. However, I don't think that Connor is the real like replacement. So that means they don't have a replacement. And so for me, I'm just looking at it as, okay, so what are you going to do then? You know what I mean?
if Le'Veon Bell's not there, gets hurt or whatever, James Conner feels to me like a very Lamar Miller style running back where he's very.
Oh, you mean so he'll have a? So you mean he's going to have a high carry amount, but not actually get the job done?
Exactly. It's volume. Like he'll get 30 carries a game, 490 yards and 2 touchdowns or something. Like he'll just do terrible, but it's volume.
did you think that D'Angelo Williams was going to be good?
I mean,
No,
nobody did, and he did
for an
awesome.
older
So-
running back, but yeah.
Okay,
and he was great.
I think that had okay. I think that was slightly a different situation
A
because
lot more
you
experienced
had
player.
True,
You
and
had
I'm
a guy-
not necessarily saying about James Conner, but they could bring in somebody else.
Well, but listen. The reason why I think he was so good was because their weapons were insane. Okay, I think that like a lot of it had to do with the fact that you had some of the best wide receivers in the league, one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Well, what happened? I could be wrong, but I feel like when Roethlisberger was hurt, he didn't do quite as well as Le'Veon Bell would do in this scenario because they were able to stack the box a little more. Also, you go back to his time in Carolina, he was sharing the carries a lot, so he wasn't taking on the full workload. So he had a little bit more tread on the tires.
Sure.
It kind of like LeGarrette Blount, how he's been able to kind of carry things through past 30 because he's almost always been, a complement type player. He's usually a starter, but he's a complement to like he's the bruiser or,
Sure.
he is only carrying the ball 15 times a game. So I think there were a few circumstances. Now you fast forward to next year. We've already discussed Roethlisberger, retiring, maybe this year. Maybe he does retire next year. So you take Roethlisberger out, they don't have a backup. They do not have a contingency plan if he leaves unless they draft somebody.
Landry Jones, hello.
Oh, God.
Yeah, he's trash, unfortunately.
He is complete garbage. They do not have a backup for him.
He's
They
bad.
they drafted
absolutely
Joshua
awful.
Dobbs.
Who's Joshua Dobbs?
Yeah, exactly.
So they're probably going to have to draft another quarterback this year. This next
They
draft.
are definitely – I'm surprised they didn't do it this year. With him saying that he was thinking about retirement, how dumb was it to not get a top-end quarterback? I think it was just completely stupid.
Brock Osweiler's on the trade block.
Yeah, so the Colts were interested in him about
Are you serious?
No, you
threw up.
didn't.
Yeah, I did.
Yes.
There was a guy reporting it. I'm hoping it was
God.
It would.
Yes.
I would quit.
Be the greatest day of my life.
I'm already on it's not good for me. in the
Brock
Colts right now.
Lobster throwing that pigskin at the feet of T.Y. Hilton.
We just don't need Alex criticizing us more for that reason alone. Like Brock Osweiler on the Colts. Come on. Ugh.
Oh my God, that'd be awesome.
it would be the worst ever. All right, next piece of
It'd be
news.
amazing.
Bears wide receiver Cam Meredith went down with a left knee injury, and it's feared that it is yet another year-ending ACL. 3 terrible injuries. Yes, go ahead.
Okay, you guys were talking on the thread. I was busy yesterday.
Mhm.
What was the whole thing about the broken dick? I don't
I don't
understand.
know. It was stupid.
What
So
would that have to do?
for listeners, somebody just said that it bent because his knee like bent. It was kind of disgusting, like the way that his knee went. Which I heard that like it's multiple ligaments that he could miss more than just a year. So
Oof.
it was a terrible injury. If you haven't watched it, like it does bend a different way. They were being stupid talking about him breaking his shaft.
Oh, okay.
So it turned into a long
Apologize.
joke that was not very funny. It kind of got funny though. So in our thread at least. But anyways, so my bold statement for it: no Bears wide receiver deserves to be drafted. Not that bold of a statement.
I disagree.
So
Kevin White,
God,
Yeah.
real late.
yeah.
Real
Do you
late
really
still.
want to though? Like maybe
No,
last round.
you don't
Can you
want
take
to,
a flyer on him though?
So
I mean,
what
seriously, wouldn't you take a flyer on him?
Yes, but my statement was that no Bears wide receiver deserves to be drafted. Do
I
you
think
really
that
think
he
that Kevin White
deserves to be
does?
drafted.
I don't think he does. I would take a shot on him just because what are you out? But that wide receiving core is the worst. I'd take Kendall Wright before I took.
Okay,
Kendall
I was
Wright
about to
almost.
say I would almost take Kendall Wright.
Yes,
Victor
say it again.
Cruz?
He's
No,
been building.
Marcus
He's been
Wheaton?
building a rapport. No, not Marcus Wheaton. I don't want anything to do with that trash. But Kendall Wright has actually been a go-to on third down. I've been reading a lot of stuff about him and Glennon having a good rapport. I mean, I don't know. I'm in the very end of the rounds. If you absolutely hate everything that's happening, it's not terrible to have Kendall Wright for a few weeks and see what happens.
That's all they
But
are.
I
though.
would still take. I just lost his name. Kevin White. I would still take him before Kendall Wright just because he was one of those guys that they were talking about being a freak athlete. They were talking about him being the next Calvin Johnson, and he just can't stay healthy. If he can get healthy and he can, build, I think it's possible that it can work out.
So, Alex, say you're on the clock. You have Kevin White or Kenny Britt.
I'm more intrigued by Kevin White than Kenny Britt. And so my personal, how I draft, I would go Kevin White over Kenny Britt just because I know what Kenny Britt is going to give me. I'm not excited by that. I think there are better wide receivers on that team. So I would go White just because of the unknown. And I like the unknown.
I'm assuming you'd take Corey Coleman above both those guys.
Yes.
Okay.
Can I go ahead and just say what my next one was because it ties into what you guys just said? So my next piece of news, and we can kind of talk about both, but Deshaun Kaiser's named the Cleveland starting quarterback for Week 1. My bold statement is that Kenny Britt has a better statistical season than Terrell Pryor had in 2016.
Absolutely ludicrous. That is the worst thing. That's worse.
I think
than
it could
first
happen.
Thing you said.
I think it could happen too.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I do.
Really, Alex? Like, so do you know what?
Do you know the stat line?
Without looking it up, do you know what Pryor did last year?
Are we talking total yards? Or are we talking?
No, just talking receiving.
Receiving.
Catches, yards, touchdowns.
Did he? Okay. I'm gonna say he had 68 catches for. I mean, honestly, I think it was less, but I'll say 1,000 yards, 7 touchdowns.
So you don't think that Kenny Britt can put up that stat line?
No.
Okay, I think he could. Last year, Terrell Pryor went for 77 catches, 1,007 yards, and 4 touchdowns.
Okay.
And I think that
he had more catches than I thought because I definitely do. I just don't like. I right now I'd be willing to put that in my phone right now.
Does he have to beat all 3 of those numbers?
2 out of the 3.
Done. Put it in the books. Put it in the books. I think
fucking love that.
I side with Romine on this just because
I think he'll have more touchdowns.
I think they have a legitimate quarterback finally. Like it's a rookie that they're finally going to throw in there who's actually got an arm. Cody Kessler was a rookie last year, but didn't have an arm.
He had a rough preseason game though.
Yeah.
He didn't look great.
No,
So I mean,
he's
I'm
that-
not saying that he's.
I
I don't know.
feel like he's that kind of quarterback that you like, Alex. Like they're just throwing him out
Oh,
there.
no, I like
they're
him.
gonna let
Yeah.
him learn on the fly, and he plays for the Browns.
I
And
think that he's going to be kind of the Carson Wentz of this year. I think that he's going to have his ups and his downs, but I think that overall you're going to see the progression.
Kenny Britt's not bad though. That's the thing. Like
I
he's
hate
not a
Kenny
bad
Britt.
football player. He did pretty well last year, and I think he put up a pretty similar stat line. 68 catches, 1,002 yards, and 5 touchdowns is what Kenny Britt did last year. So if he repeats that, I lose the bet, by the way, just saying. But I think that he could be better. I think that he'll have more yards and touchdowns.
So you're actually saying that he will have the best statistical year of his career.
Oh, yeah. I do think that.
Again, you're again betting on a player that has been a consistent mediocrity to be the best player he's ever been this season.
Yeah, Terrell Pryor was the best he'd
Terrible.
ever been last year. Why not?
Okay, but
So you're saying it
but
can't happen?
Kenny Britt is much older, like by 4 or 5 seasons.
I mean, sure. He's older. I don't know how much older. I don't think he's
Season-wise, he
Like
is 4 or
3
5
years
seasons
older?
more.
You could be right about that.
Season-wise.
I still think I would rather have Kenny Britt than Kevin White. I'd rather have. I don't hate Corey Coleman. If Corey Coleman has a great year, I lose that bet. Or if he has a good year, I should say. It doesn't even have to be great. But I think that if I'm drafting and I'm in the later rounds and Kevin White and Kenny Britt are on the screen, if I'm looking for a higher floor, I go Kenny Britt. If I need a higher ceiling, I'll go Kevin White. Because I think Kevin White, could, like you said, he was a freak athlete. They talked a lot about him being amazing. He has not been able to prove it so far. So, any problem with that, Brent?
No.
I think it's a fair statement.
I just think he's still a late round flyer, but now I think he's got more opportunity to give you more fantasy points now that Cam Meredith is out of the picture. So
Yeah. I don't think you're wrong.
I don't think he raises up my draft board by any means, but you're still getting more production out of that late round pick now.
Nope. I agree. Alex, do you have anything to add to that before we move on to our My Guys part of it?
Nope. I think we're good.
Sweet.
We're good.
So we are, like I said earlier, we are going to tell you guys that we have fallen head over heels for. We are lusting over them for no reason other than the fact that we think
I'm so in love with you. Sorry, I needed to introduce the.
Was beautiful.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Why don't you lead us off there? Lead us off, Alex. Give me your first guy.
I'm just gonna lay this out. This is a homer pick. I'm gonna be completely honest.
I hate it.
But
I hate it already.
But the fact is that Carson Wentz is the real deal.
I'm kidding. I
He
love
has
it.
been fantastic in preseason. He has been more than what you would expect in such a limited amount of time. You have guys that are seasoned veterans that haven't looked as good as Carson Wentz. And, the weapons that he has around him, I think that they're going to finally have a decent running game. I think they're putting it together. They've got a great defense. They've got young players that are going to be able to keep him off the field so that then he can go out fresh. I think that he is going to be, I want to say top 5 quarterback, but more realistically, top 10 quarterback, maybe even top 8. And he's my guy. I mean, he's my guy in life and in fantasy football. I love him so much.
He's actually been one of the.
I can't tell you.
He's actually been one of the top quarterbacks under pressure so far this preseason. Granted, it's preseason, but still, he's showing composure and poise in that pocket when he's being blitzed. So that's pretty nice to see for a young quarterback who was almost touted as like the best quarterback since Andrew Luck came into the league back when he was drafted by the Eagles. So
yeah, and I wanted what's his face.
Yeah, you did.
I did. I was an idiot.
That's okay.
I always
though.
am.
I love that, Alex. And I know you're probably gonna be mad that I'm saying it, but like Carson Wentz has been one of my guys this year when I'm drafting. I've ended up with a lot of Wentz on teams, and that's why I don't like going Aaron Rodgers. I love having Aaron Rodgers on my team. Like, when I think about it, I'm like, oh, yeah, I would love to have Aaron Rodgers. And I look at my team, I'm like, why did I draft him there when I could have gotten Derek Carr, Carson Wentz, Marcus Mariota, like any of these guys round 12 and later?
I just want to make I want to make this announcement to anyone listening that, you know, is a person that drafts quarterbacks early. You are an idiot, and you deserve to not win your league, because you should not be, unless it's a 2-quarterback league. And, you know, like, depending on how scoring, if you have a regular league, you are an idiot for drafting these guys in the first few rounds. Complete idiot. Because there are guys so good in the late, like early teens that you could get that could be, you know, week to week 2 or 3 points less than that other guy.
And I just want to say,
and maybe even not even that.
We love everybody. Like, I don't want our listeners to think that we hate them, because we love them. Just don't draft quarterbacks early.
It's called tough love.
I mean,
it gets some tough love.
When you're getting into the 3rd round and you're looking at your draft board and you're like, I hate these guys, and you see Aaron Rodgers, it is so easy to give into it. It's like a heroin addict that they're like, oh, I just want to feel it. I want to feel good. Yeah. You're going to feel good for a very short time. You're going to get done with your draft and you're going to look at it and you're going to be disappointed. It's hard, and it's hard to do that and look that in the face and make that decision. Be strong. Follow the 4 Horsemen Pod on Twitter. Send us an email if you're feeling lonely and you feel like you need somebody to talk to. Reach out to us. We'll help you with that.
What's that email address?
It's a 4horsemanpod@gmail.com.
The number 4.
The number 4 Horseman.
The number 4
pod@gmail.com.
If you out there are feeling that you are going to draft a quarterback in the early rounds, we're here.
Yes.
We're here to tell you why that's a terrible idea, and you are ruining your entire world.
Text Alex. Call him even.
Oh, we'll give out his number later. Alex, I think Carson Wentz is going to be a top 5 quarterback. Brent, who's your guy?
You know, I would hate that, except for the fact that I just love it. Like, it just feels so good. Like, just hearing Carson Wentz, top 5 quarterback. I'm just like, I get tingles just all the way over me. I can't even get mad at you for saying it.
Yeah, I love it. Brent, who you got?
I always look at value on where you can get guys, and I'm every mock. I haven't done a whole lot of actual drafts yet, but all these mock drafts I do, I target this guy. Even J.J.I. I freaking love the guy for some reason. I think he's got the potential for over 300 carries, not to mention 40 to 50 catches. He's an involved piece of that offense. They kind of centralize it around J.J.I. now, it seems. They want to keep it out of Cutler's hands, who tends to be a little more turnover prone. And I just think he offers that elite top 3 running back upside at a safe volume floor. So you're getting minimal risk as a mid to late 2nd round value, I think. And that's why I love him so much. So I tend to target him because of that upside and floor.
Do you have his actual draft position pulled up there? Is it late 2nd?
It's dipped into the late 2nd when he had his concussion. So
I think it's probably moving back the other way.
I think it's around the mid 2nd round to late 2nd round. So I think you can get a top 3 running back there.
Oh yeah.
Would you be surprised if J.J.I. finished as a top 5 running back?
First of all, let me stop you. Is it J.J.I.?
I cannot pronounce.
I thought it was J.J.I.
Just change it every time. Change it every time.
No, Ajay.
It's fine.
Say it.
Ajay.
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 Jeez, this podcast is terrible. It was
I just call him JJ.
I couldn't even concentrate on anything you were saying because every time you said it, it was making my head hurt. But you'd rather, I don't know. Because my guy's Jordan Howard, like that I want to talk about. And I feel like these two guys are right there at that same position.
They are.
And I have been on the other side of it, taking Jordan Howard almost every single time. And I do that because JJ, while I love what his potential is when Miami's line is healthy, he had 3 games that he was amazing last year, and the rest he was pretty mediocre.
I give you
Yeah.
that, but I think Chicago's offense is a lot more terrible too.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like I was saying about Hunt, like I like those guys that are in a situation where I feel like they are going to just get out there and get the ball a ton. And I
who's
get
behind Jay Ajayi?
Jay Ajayi. God, say it again, Jay Ajayi.
Jay Ajayi.
Okay, nobody's behind him, and that's why I'm okay with it. But Jay Ajayi, I'm more worried about getting injured than I am Jordan Howard, and that's kind of where the difference is. I have that fear of injury, and it could be just completely for nothing. I think that Jay Ajayi could finish higher than Howard easily, but when I'm faced with those two, I've been picking Howard over him, really just because I'm enamored with him. I want to love him, and it's probably partially because I have a hard time when I see somebody that tore shit up last year. I'm like, yes, reproduce that. I want that on my team, and that's why sometimes it backfires for me. Sometimes I'm wrong. I love Thomas Rawls last year. Loved him. Loved Latavius Murray. Loved him.
I think what separates it more for me between those two is Chicago does not have a passing game to open up the running game. Vice versa, Miami does. Cutler is better than Tannehill. He's getting that rapport with Devontae Parker. Jarvis Landry's there. They bring in Julius. I think they have an actual passing game to open up the running game. So that's why I choose Jay.
Do you remember last year when everybody wanted Cutler like cut and benched? Like when he was god-awful and terrible and nobody liked him? Why all of a sudden are we so enamored with the fact that he went to Miami?
Gase.
I think it's just because
Gase?
It's Gase, and we think Cutler's better than Ryan Tannehill because Tannehill's just been the mediocre his whole career.
Yeah, because here's the issue, and I've gotten into arguments with actual Bears fans about this, is that, okay, for all the complaining, all the bitching about Cutler, he was the best quarterback you have ever had, period. The best quarterback in history in Chicago. And like it's one of those things that, you know, I constantly hear about how the Eagles threw snowballs at Santa and booed McNabb. No fan base has ever been more ridiculous than the Chicago fan base about Jay Cutler. I cannot even get over how annoying Bears fans have been about Jay Cutler. They don't deserve him. And they deserve to suck for a while. And I want Cutler to do amazing just because I am so annoyed by how Bears fans acted toward him.
Specifically, Brandon, we're talking about you if you listen to this podcast.
Actually, he was one that did not.
Okay. We're not talking about you.
A part of that. I'm not talking about Brandon. Right. I'm just talking about 98% of the people I know that are Bears fans just hated and hated and hated. Right. And it's like, yeah, okay, he throws a lot of picks. You know, I mean, so did Brett Favre. Brett Favre has the most picks in history, but he also has a lot of other great things. But the fact is that the Bears organization hasn't made the smartest moves. They haven't done the right thing all the time. And, you know, so it's hard for me to, or for anybody to say, well, it's all Cutler's fault. Okay, that's his style of play. They didn't cater to his style of play.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking that Miami has the players that will cater to his style of play.
Sure.
And coach, too.
Exactly.
Sure. And I don't know. We're getting away from the fact that, you know, we're talking about Ajayi and Howard. Alex, which one would you rather have?
That's a really tough one. I'll be completely honest. I think I lean toward Ajayi because I'm nervous about the pressure that will be on Howard to perform and the fact that there is not much going on in Chicago other than him. Yeah. So I'm looking at Ajayi because I know that Devontae Parker can spread the field. I know that Landry can, you know, cut up through the middle and catch some balls and then turn them upfield. I know that Julius Thomas can catch some stuff too, like on the sides and things like that. I'm not worried about that passing game. I'm worried about that passing game in Chicago. And so I need to have some, like, I mean, it's kind of one of those things, like when I look at it, it's like what running backs have done really well with a terrible situation. And like the first thing that pops into mind is AP. Okay, so is Jordan Howard one of the best running backs in this generation? I don't think so. Sure. So that's a lot to ask from a player. And so I would lean toward Ajayi just a little bit more. I love Howard. I think he's absolutely fantastic. Like, it killed me to trade him to you. But I just have to go Ajayi simply because it's just a better team. It is a much better team.
I don't know that it's I know what you're saying. I know what you mean. The Bears are trash, but they have a good offensive line. And if I just don't know what they're going to do at quarterback. I don't know if they're going to roll. I think they're going to start Glennon. I think Trubisky could be good. I really do. I've drafted him our rookie draft. If I was in a dynasty league, I would think about drafting him as well. I think that he has got talent. They obviously wanted him, but
I kind of have a feeling it's going to be a long time until we see biscuits and gravy.
I hope not. But you're probably right.
I think it is.
Brent, give me another player. Who else do you love?
Another guy I love this year is Amari Cooper. Oh my gosh, he's fallen into the third round for me quite a bit too, and I just love his value there. And he's looked so fantastic this preseason. So this will be his third season, right?
Yeah.
So usually in year 3 is when wide receivers break out, right?
Yes.
Yep. He's already got 2 1,000-yard seasons in his first 2 career years.
Like, I love Amari Cooper so much.
I'm just loving him so much.
What do you think is the ceiling, yard-wise? What do you think the ceiling is?
1,500 yards. Like
that was even higher than I was going.
Like
really?
1,500. Would you be surprised though? No.
I could see him having an Allen Robinson year, 1,400 yards, 14 touchdowns.
Oh,
if he can put it all together.
Because he has not had a year yet where he's gotten the touchdowns. His yardage has been there, but this year I think it could all come together for him, especially they brought in Marshawn Lynch. I get it, he's old, but he's going to produce too. So I think that, I mean, their offense is getting better is the thing. And I just think he's going to have so much opportunity this year because Oakland does not have the greatest defense. They have one great defensive player. Yes. But their defense is not all that great at all. Yeah. And they will be passing the ball because they're going to be wanting to stay in games. So I really think the sky is the limit for Amari Cooper, especially in the third round. If you can get him in the third round.
If you're drafting, do not let Amari Cooper fall into the third round. Take him on the turn right there. Like, don't let him pass because he is a guy that could easily be the number 1 overall wide receiver, I think. I don't know if easily is the right word, but like I could see him finishing better than Antonio Brown. I think that Derek Carr could have like an Andrew Luck third season, like mid 4,000 yards, 40 touchdowns. He just seems like he's got it all together right now, so it probably means he'll like break his leg in week 3, which I hope doesn't happen. I feel like everything has aligned and it's about to happen.
I mean, T.Y. Hilton last year had the most receiving yards in the league. He had 1,460 or something. Mm-hmm. Like, could you really see Amari Cooper getting that much? Yeah.
Yes, easily.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like,
anybody that doesn't think that is wrong. They are wrong. If somebody says that to you,
it's the person that's drafting Aaron Rodgers in the third round.
Exactly.
You need to email us, okay? You need to tell us why you have such a skewed mindset of the world.
But listen, when you're mad at that person, you want to yell at them, think about it. We need people like that in our leagues because they make our teams better. Alex, give me another player.
This player is an obvious one. I mean, everyone's drafting him 1 or 2. But the fact is that when you have a guy like David Johnson, he's a running back. And one of the things that you're worried about with your running back is your team, is that team getting out of games? That's a problem that you probably are thinking about with Howard. You're thinking, okay, well, they're going to have to start passing in the second half. You know what? David Johnson could have 150 to 200 all-purpose yards, and the Cardinals could be beat 54-0.
Yeah.
That is completely possible. And the fact is that when you have a player like that it doesn't matter what is going on, he's going to get the ball. That's amazing. That's what you want in a running back. You want a running back that it doesn't matter. And there is only one running back that comes to mind that has ever been that kind of guy, and that's AP, and he didn't even catch balls.
Nope.
I think that what we are looking at in David Johnson is our new standard for an AP, but maybe even better.
Yes. I can't argue that at all. I love David Johnson, and there's no way that he shouldn't be the number one pick in every single fantasy league, regardless of format.
I don't. There is no way that. Like, I understand that people might like Le'Veon Bell, but the fact is that, like you said, even if you're just like, I'm not worried about that other stuff, there still is other stuff.
Yep.
David Johnson is squeaky clean.
Yep. You take David Johnson home
beast.
to meet your parents. Like,
exactly.
And then he gets on the streets, and he's got the sweetest motorcycle. He lets you ride on the back. He
gives you his helmet.
He's
one of those guys that has that. Yeah, he's got that helmet. He hands it to you because he's more concerned about you.
Yes. He puts a jacket on you. If you're cold, he doesn't want that.
Yeah. You're looking for a guy when you are, when you're taking somebody first overall, and you're in a snake draft, you want a player that is going to change the dynamic of your fantasy team, because it's going to be a while until you get to make another selection. I don't see Le'Veon Bell as being as dynamic as David Johnson. I think that if you pass up on David Johnson and pick anybody else, you will regret it.
Another thing about David Johnson, when you draft him at number 1, you're also drafting possibly your wide receiver 1 too. He's absolutely that dynamic where he can rush for 100 yards and receive for 100 yards on a weekly basis. So you might be able to wait on a wide receiver in the draft just because you have so much in that number 1 pick with David Johnson.
And I mean, I'll be completely honest. His totals are the reason why I wanted to create a bonus for total yards. I'll be like, that's the reason why I put it up, because he is so unbelievable that I don't know. And I know that saying that he's better than AP after one solid season is kind of ludicrous, but whatever. This is a podcast. We can say whatever we want.
Exactly.
I think that he is going to be better than AP when all is said and done.
Well, not only that, Alex, remember his rookie year? He barely got any touches, but where did he score? On kickoff and punt returns. Yep. He had like 4 or 5 in his rookie season. Like, he can do it all.
Everything.
Maybe even pass the ball. Carson Palmer's getting old. They might make him quarterback.
Who knows? They might have him pass to himself and hand off to himself, because why not?
I would love to see it.
It'd be amazing.
I want it to happen.
Draft David Johnson, number 1 overall, please. If you have the number 1 pick, consider yourself lucky. Just draft him. Following up on that, I don't even know how I can, because I love David Johnson so much. But a player that I have been continually ending up with on my teams is Jimmy Graham. I love Jimmy Graham this year. I think that he could be the number 1 overall tight end if something happens to Gronk. I think if Gronk stays healthy, you are talking about Gronk and then every other tight end. If something was to happen, Jimmy Graham could be a guy that you are getting in the 6th or 7th round, and he is going to put up better numbers than Travis Kelce. He is going to put up similar numbers to Jordan Reed if Reed can stay healthy. I feel like there are less concerns for I don't know if it's really valid reasons, but there's less concerns, and you're getting him 3 or 4 rounds later. So he is my last of like the great tight ends. Like, if Jordan Reed's gone, Travis Kelce's gone, I'm usually waiting on those guys to go. And then 5th or 6th round, I'm ending up with Jimmy Graham, because I have a hard time passing on him to take, God, I off the top of my head, I don't even know who's there, but your wide receiver 3, your running back 3. I'm not going to grab a quarterback. I want to lock in a position that I feel like I could have a difference maker, and I think that Jimmy Graham can be that. If everything falls together for the Seahawks, he's going to be a vital part of that offense, and they're going to need to throw to him.
Yeah.
What say you? Anything?
I've been rising on Jimmy Graham lately. Like he's always gone by the time I actually want him, but I'm starting to get on board with it a lot more. I know Jordan Reed with his injury and everything, he's been slipping down to the late 5th, early 6th rounds now. So I'm almost liking that value a little more. But if I can get Jimmy Graham in the 7th, I'm loving that.
Yes.
When's Olsen going? Olsen's got to be right around there too.
Before that, Olsen's going like 4th or 5th round, I think. I don't have
wow.
ADPs pulled up. I don't know why I don't, but I would rather have Jimmy Graham than Greg Olsen.
The only thing that I am concerned about is just he's had half a season where he really looked amazing, and other than that, his time in Seattle has been a little iffy.
Right.
I want to see him put together a full season. I do like his value. I do like the fact that legitimately, I don't think that he has quite the injury concerns that the other guys have.
Right.
So, do I think that he is a better pick than Olsen? No. But if you're not willing to get, go up and, because it's a couple round difference. So, I mean, if you have other guys in mind and you'd rather grab him than get Olsen and you want to kind of wait and get Graham, I don't see any problem with that. I think that they're going to put up similar-ish numbers. I think the value to what you end up getting, I think, is about the same. But it just depends on what you're looking for. And I'm just hoping that they focus on him this season and we get a full season of him to what he was doing, in parts of last season.
Don't you think that Jimmy Graham has a higher ceiling than Greg Olsen does, though?
Jimmy Graham has a higher ceiling in theory because of where he used to play. I don't think that he has – I think he has a very similar season or ceiling to Greg Olsen now. I just don't think that he has the passer, and I don't think that they have the mindset, the tight end focus that the Steelers had when he was there. So I don't think that New Orleans Sorry.
Steelers, idiot.
Sorry. Starts with an S. Yeah. But so I don't know. I agree that he's a good pickup. I don't think that he is ever going to be the player that he was in New Orleans.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be tough to be. But, all right. Brent, give me another guy. Make this your last one.
This is my last one, and I've been very high on this guy because of how late you can get him in drafts. Marcus Mariota. This guy, I think, could just be lights out this year. Like he's gonna light this NFL on fire this year. He is incredibly efficient in the red zone. He's got added playmakers to the offense, tons of new pass catchers. They got a rookie tight end in there, Derrick Henry, second year. Their offensive line is elite. I just think adding these playmakers to the offense, it's giving him a legitimate presence to the passing game as well. He's a dual threat fantasy producer. His rushing ability makes him capable of providing weekly fantasy upside as a top 7 option. And I think he finishes higher than that. I know when we did our show weeks ago, I had him as a top 5 quarterback where I think he would finish. And I still stand by that. I really think Marcus Mariota, you can get him late in drafts and he could give you that top 5 upside on a weekly basis. You're almost seeing like this change of guard too. Like, you have the Drew Brees, Ben Roethlisberger, Phillip Rivers, all these older guys, Eli Manning, all these older guys. You might start seeing the dip in production, but all these younger guys like Wentz and Mariota, Winston, Carr, all these guys are just going so late in drafts, and they might end up finishing top 5 in the league fantasy wise, and I'm
those
loving
guys. Those guys that you listed, the second grouping, the young group, I would pick every single one of them ahead of everyone that you listed in the first part. Every single one. I am that high on that group, and I especially in Dynasty, especially in that, the year of the drop off is any year for Breeze at this point. Is any year for Brady at this point. It's going to happen, and the fact is that these younger guys, you get at an insane value right now. Get those guys. Get them on your team, because those other guys in a year or two are going to be gone. I mean, they cannot play forever, so don't act like they're going to play forever. These other guys have 10-plus years left. So in a dynasty, swallow up those guys. Get them on your team. And yeah, I would choose all of those guys right now over. And honestly, I would choose all those guys in a redraft right now, because they all have such huge upside right now. And I want to get all the running backs and wide receivers I can earlier in the draft. I don't want to pay for a Breeze. I don't want to pay for a Brady right now.
Yeah. I mean, a month ago, almost before a month ago before the preseason started, Mariota was going in like round 12 or 13. Right now, he's going in the back of the 7th round, which is actually
too early.
It's actually before Winston goes now too. Winston's in the 8th round.
I have agreed with almost everything you said about him. I put him towards the bottom of my list on those guys that I want, though. I think that Marcus Mariota is what I wanted Tyrod Taylor to be. Like,
oh my God,
he has. You still want him to be there?
I still, God, it's not going to happen. But like, Mariota's arm isn't as good as Winston's. It's not as good as Derek Carr's. It's not as good as Carson Wentz. I feel like his ceiling is lower than all of those guys. What his floor gives you is with that running, but if something happens to his legs where he loses that, you're going to be disappointed that you drafted him, especially in Dynasty. Like, don't reach for Mariota if you can wait a few more rounds and get Derek Carr or get Jameis Winston or, get Kirk Cousins even. Like, I would rather have all those guys than Marcus Mariota. So, like, I get why you love him, and it makes a lot of sense to me. But you talking about that ADP rising up is exactly why I'm not drafting him, and why I'm not ending up with him on my teams is because he is a guy that when I see them start going, that's when I tell myself, hey, now I need to be watching it. I need to be looking at the other teams, seeing who has quarterbacks depending on where I'm drafting. And once Marcus Mariota goes, I start thinking now is going to be a time where I'm going to draft my quarterback. It's going to come soon, next few rounds.
I'm even worried about how high Marcus Mariota is going. I like getting running backs and wide receivers, tight ends way before then too. But like, if you can get Marcus Mariota in 9th, 10th round, I think he's worth that round.
Sure.
Even Derek Carr is going before Marcus Mariota now. So
is he really?
Yep. He's going in the late.
Who's going for Marcus Mariota?
Derek Carr.
I love Derek Carr so much.
I think that's probably, I don't know, it's got to be true if you're reading it, but like all of my leagues that I've been drafting in has not been the case.
Okay, but I would say, of that grouping though, of those young quarterbacks, who's your number one? Like, I mean, Brent, are you saying that Mariota is your favorite? I'm not talking about ADPs. I'm not talking about value. I'm not.
Yep. Who would you rather have?
Straight up. Who do you want? You get to pick one. Who do you want?
I still like Mariota the best.
Okay.
Romine?
Derek Carr. And it's close.
It's like Derek Carr. Like, it's like Derek Carr and Carson Wentz. Like, I want them to come over to my house and play a dating game with me and tell me why I should choose them, because I can't make up my mind. I love them both. I'm in love with both of them. And the thing is that I would probably go Carr because I don't like being a homer. Like, I don't like being the guy that like insists on choosing Eagles, because that's what I did when I first started fantasy football. Half of my team were Eagles players.
Sure,
if they were good or not. There were times where I drafted Todd Pinkston. I mean, like, it was rough. It was rough stuff.
don't let that determine, because like I felt the same way with Andrew Luck a lot. Like I wanted to not really draft him because he was getting lifted up there so high, which now I'm kind of glad that I didn't. But Derek Carr has so many weapons, has a great offensive line, but there's still room for him to grow. Like,
yeah,
he could be so good. And he just seems like a leader. Very similar qualities to Carson Wentz, I think. You know, people love Carson Wentz in the locker room. I think they feel the same way about Derek Carr. People, they want to play for him. These guys are so young, so talented. Their ceilings are so high already. They could only move up from there. Mariota, I feel like his ceiling is down below it, and he is just a little too hyped.
He's the only one that runs around, and that's always scary.
Yep.
Like that's the one thing that's problematic in anyone's mind. You know, going back as far as, because the fact of the matter is that rushing quarterbacks get injured. It happens. So you're just hoping that it's not a bad injury.
It's happened the last 2 years for Mariota. He couldn't finish the season in either
exactly.
of the season.
And, you know, Derek Carr couldn't finish the season last year either. So it can happen to anybody.
Freak injury. I talked to him. He said he's good.
Good. All right.
Yeah, so, you know, the Eagles could play the Raiders in the Super Bowl.
Oh my God.
That would be amazing.
That would be sexy.
Go.
It'd be so sexy.
We should
love it.
All right, Alex, give me your last player. Close the show out. We're not going to talk long about it, but give me your last guy.
We're not going to talk a lot about Devontae Parker right now because I love him.
Thank you.
Listen.
He was written down on my paper.
Listen. Okay, the fact is that he's kind of burned me. You know, like I've been waiting, and now it feels like it's here. He's ready to go, and I'm so excited. Like I'm just like I'm looking at the stat line, and I know that 2 receptions isn't great, and I know that if he drops this 72-yard bomb, that then he is 1 for 6 yards. But that's kind of the fun of Devontae Parker. He might put up 20 yards and have like 2 catches, or he'll have 3 catches and 115 yards and 2 touchdowns. And I don't know. Like, he's the kind of guy that you draft a Michael Crabtree or rest in peace, Julian Edelman. Not rest in peace. Your legs, Julian Edelman. Sorry, I just killed Julian Edelman. I apologize. Julian, he'll be fine. Chicks will be taking Snapchat pictures and posting them on the internet.
He's doing well for himself. Don't worry.
He
I
is
feel bad for his
absolutely fine. He's totally fine.
He's everything that you wish you could be on Tinder.
Absolutely, yeah. Oh my God. Oh my gosh. He doesn't even. That man doesn't even have to have a Tinder account. He just walks out and says, "You."
I said we're not going to get sidetracked.
And then they just go home with him.
He's beautiful.
Okay,
he's
I'm sorry. Okay,
man.
sorry.
He does well,
Yes, yeah, I understand. But okay, so I mean, the thing is that, you know, he offers that big bang kind of player. Now, you don't want him as your number 1. You want him as your 2 or your 3 so that you can have him there and he can hit big, or, you know, he can kind of flame out. You want those steadier guys in there. Maybe if you're lucky enough to have an AJ Green and you have Devontae Parker as your second, you are ecstatic. I mean, that's a great 1-2 punch on there. And then if you can round it out with a nice stable player that's going to get some PPR, you know, that's what you want. And he just really excites me this year. I wasn't hoping for a Tannehill injury. I was hoping for a change of the guard, and I think we finally have it with the pairing of Gase and Jay Cutler, and I could not be happier. I'm so excited about him. And I at the same time, I'm worried that we are having the same feelings about the Dolphins that we had about the Browns last year, and it might completely implode and we might be terribly disappointed. But I really don't think so. I'm just nervous about that.
Sure. Sorry, I got a text from one of my buddies, Dustin Rogers, out there watching the podcast. We appreciate you, man. I'm just reading this text. It's really long. So Devontae Parker, though, like, side note, him and Jarvis Landry's ADP is almost exactly the same now. It's both around the 6th round. So Devontae Parker is just going to continue to go up. His upside much higher than Jarvis Landry's, in my opinion. I would much rather have Devontae Parker than Jarvis Landry. Also, more reasons why I think that Ajayi's total yardage could go down slightly. I think that Jay Cutler is going to throw the ball a lot. It's going to open up more holes. And I think Ajayi did pretty well breaking tackles last year. I don't think that he'll have to do that as much. But Devontae Parker could be a guy that is your number 2 wide receiver, but you don't need to draft him there. He could be your wide receiver 3. He could be a flex.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, sure.
So, anyways, sorry, Dustin. I was going to try to read your question because it looks like you got one on here, but it's too long and I'm too stupid to read it right now. So, we appreciate you guys all.
We have a viewer and you can't even read the damn question.
I can't. If you want to talk about something, I need to read, and it's just going to be quiet.
I have plenty I can talk about. Are you serious? Okay, Brent, real quick, shoot me off another guy that you were excited about. Anybody. It doesn't even have to be like a thought-out thing. Like just somebody who surprised you? Do you have a surprise? Like something that you're like, not bad.
Just one name comes to mind. Like, it's stupid though. It's just like way late in drafts. He's going in still the 12th round, and that's Jaquiz Rogers, a guy you could start for the first 3 weeks, is going round 12 at the back end of your drafts. Like, you can't beat that. Like, he's a clear-cut starter for your first 3 weeks, and could be the starter after that.
Who?
Yeah.
Jaquiz Rogers.
Ugh.
I know you love Doug Martin.
I have Doug Martin written on my list too. I mean, and the thing that worries me about Jaquiz Rogers is I don't know if they're going to do the same thing they did last year where they just ran the ball through him. They're talking about who's their pass catcher?
Charles Sims.
Charles Sims. I could see them trying to use him and kind of laying off of Rodgers as much. I think that he'll get most of the rushing, the running plays, but I don't know. He's not bad. So I would love to keep talking about Jaquiz Rogers, but draft Doug Martin and don't worry about handcuffing him to Rogers.
No.
So, yeah. Anyways,
that's not a good question, or that's not a good advice at all.
That's a great advice. I would much rather pair Doug Martin with Rob Kelly or somebody that I think is going to start earlier in the season. I think you're really limiting yourself. If you draft a running back that you think could get passed by a rookie, there's a chance that couldn't happen. So you could end up with 2 good players. When you draft Jaquiz Rogers and Doug Martin, you're just hoping that one of them is great. I'd rather take the guy that I think is going to be good. And that's probably why it backfires for me, because I believe in myself and it gets me a lot of second place finishes.
Absolutely.
So anyways, I want to read Dustin's text here because it's pretty interesting to me. So he was watching it. He said Ajayi greater than Howard. So Brent, he agrees with you.
Okay.
This is where he gets into it, though. He says Breeze, Brady, and Rodgers are worth a 3rd to 4th round pick. All others are 9th round or later. It's not so much that the other quarterbacks are bad or good. It's just that those 3 are dropping 5,000 plus yards and 35 touchdowns year in and year out. The others may have that kind of season here and there. Last year, Breeze and Rodgers had 100 more fantasy points than all but 2 quarterbacks, Ryan and Cousins, in the league that he played in with their scoring, because that could vary. Can the player, running back, or wide receiver that you choose in the 3rd or 4th round score the 100 points that you just passed on? What if I think I have a sleeper late, which he said Kareem Hunt in round 9, which is not going to happen anymore. But does that justify taking Breeze in round 3? It's the consistency that top quarterbacks offer that is appealing in rounds 3 and 4. No earlier than that, though. And Dustin, one thing I would add, like you said, Kareem Hunt, if you have a guy that you think you can rely on, that's the only reason. Like, I get it. I get what you're saying. Like, you could get that extra 100 points. And if you think that you're that smart, go ahead and try it. I would much rather put as many of my eggs in a basket as I could. Like, I want multiple things. I want to take more chances on running backs and wide receivers because those quarterbacks are going to be pretty similar. That's why I personally do it. What do you guys say?
Well, it's a lot of what you're saying. It's if you miss on your quarterback early, you can't make up for that. But at the same time, there is a lot more streaming options out there available if you're good with the waivers and all that. That's why tight ends and quarterbacks you can draft later, because if one of those do go down later in the drafts that you draft them, you can pick up someone off waivers. Usually it's easier to stream matchups and things of that nature, but you really want to load up on wide receivers and running backs because you can't stream those as easily.
Yeah. Like, I think one of the things, though, is that, the grouping that we were talking about, they're the ones that we think this is the year that they're going to hit. So, it's one of those things that, you are playing a little bit of a risk reward kind of game with it. But I feel like being able to load up in the beginning of your wide receivers and your running backs early is better. And then getting, one or maybe even a couple of those guys later on in the draft. And if you're like what we're talking about, I think that Derek Carr could be a top 5 quarterback. I think Carson Wentz could be a top 5 quarterback. I think that Jameis Winston could be a top 5 quarterback. I think those 3 guys have the potential of being top 5 quarterbacks. So that means it's going to knock those older guys out if those 3 hit. So, it kind of plays into how you feel, I guess, about those players, because honestly, it's really just to me, the quarterback position is like what Brent said. You can stream it. And if you can get a couple of those guys later on in the draft that potentially could knock those guys off their pedestal, I'd rather do that. I just would.
And to your point, Alex, with quarterbacks especially, there isn't a big difference between them. I get the consistency factor on a week-to-week basis, but where was Derek Carr and Marcus Mariota being drafted last year? Way late in drafts. Mm-hmm. Marcus Mariota was the number 1 fantasy quarterback from weeks 5 to week 12. Yep. Derek Carr was the number 1 fantasy quarterback from week 1 to week 8. There's these guys are being drafted way late and they're going to win you weeks still. Yeah. Like, you don't have to draft the Tom Brady. You don't have to draft the Drew Brees and all these guys that are going way earlier in drafts. Aaron Rodgers. I get it. They score the most points out of all your positions, but you can also get those points way later in the draft.
Yep. Absolutely.
Awesome. But thank you, Dustin, for that. I thought it was interesting, and sorry that I was so awkward about reading it there. It took me a minute. I wanted to actually read it through text form before I said it out loud. But I get it. I get why people want to do that.
Real quick, I just want to throw down a scenario here. Okay. You draft you go, let's say you draft a running back in the first round and a wide receiver in the second, and you draft Rodgers in the third. Okay, so you probably should have drafted running back right there. What if that first round running back goes down? Right. You're screwed, because the fact is that top end running backs are way more valuable than the top end quarterbacks. So the fact is, you could have had a guy that was already there that maybe wouldn't put up the exact amount that guy is. Like, if you had after Howard and Bell, there's a little bit of influx. So if you had Howard and you got in, something happened to him, your next player at best is a 4th round running back. Do you really want to trust that? I would trust a quarterback that I drafted in the 10th round, and then a guy that I drafted in like the 13th, but is still a starter, than a 4th round running back being my starting running back, my number 1.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the logic that you have to think of.
So in the draft I did last night, actually with Dustin, he had the number 3 overall pick in a 12-team league. He had drafted Le'Veon Bell with his first pick, came back and took Amari Cooper with the 3rd to last pick in the 2nd round, which I love, and then drafted Drew Brees in the 3rd round. Coming out of the 4th, he took so at the end of the 4th, he had Jimmy Graham and Allen Robinson. Like,
Le'Veon Bell just tore his ACL. Your team's done.
Yeah.
I mean, not to knock you, sir. As our only viewer while we're live, I don't want to.
Oh, and he's a way better dude. He's a good dude too. So don't say a damn bad thing about him.
Okay, I'm not saying a bad thing about him. All I'm saying is that I now have an okay tight end. Who is the wide receiver? Was Amari Cooper?
Yeah, he's got Amari Cooper in the second.
Okay, so
Allen Robinson.
Allen Robinson. So we've got a questionable wide receiver too right now. I mean, to be completely honest, Allen Robinson is a question mark right now. We don't know what's going to happen with him. And at best, you've got a guy that you got in the 4th round, maybe 5th round, that is now your number 1 running back in the hardest position to fill spots. There are plenty of quarterbacks to fill those spots. There are plenty of wide receivers to fill those spots. There are not plenty of running backs to fill those spots. And that is what I would be terrified about if with that strategy.
Yeah. With it being a 12-team league, I don't know. Just if he didn't take Drew Brees, like the next few picks that came off, Dalvin Cook, Gronk, Travis Kelce, Marshawn Lynch, Tyreek Hill, T.Y. Hilton, Terrell Pryor, Carlos Hyde, Larry Fitzgerald finished out that round. Like, would have you seen yourself then taking like a T.Y. Hilton maybe, or
yeah, I would have taken
almost all those options would have been better than Drew Brees in my opinion.
Yeah,
me too.
You could still get Drew Brees probably in the 5th, 6th, 7th round even. You could have waited on quarterback, I think, because he still would have fallen.
Drew Brees?
Do you think Drew Brees would have fallen to the 5th round?
I don't think so.
I've seen
12-team league.
He wouldn't. I don't think he would have fallen that far. And I know that.
I don't think he would have fallen that far.
Dustin loves Drew Brees, and you love your guys. You want to draft him, get him on your team. So I get why he does it. But
that's a my guy for him.
Yeah, that's one of his guys.
Here's another scenario that would be absolutely dreadful for this guy. Le'Veon gets hurt. This is the year that Drew Brees falls off.
Yeah.
You don't recover. You don't recover from it. Like that would be, and it's completely like the odds of that happening are great.
Yeah,
they are absolutely great. Of all the scenarios you can place out, that those two guys having those two things happen to them this season is great.
Yeah, and the thing with this league is it's a little bit different. There's only 3 bench spots. So it's a pretty deep roster.
Oh, my gosh.
And only 3 bench spots. So
ooh,
the waiver wire is normally pretty good, though. And bye weeks suck. Like, when you're starting to look at that. But, yeah. Anyways, thanks, Dustin, for that. We appreciate it. It was fun talking about that. But don't draft Drew Brees in the 3rd round again. But, yeah, guys, we appreciate you all stopping out listening. If you didn't watch this live feed on YouTube, is it YouTube? Whatever, Google, whatever it is.
Yeah. It goes through YouTube. Yeah.
Get on here and do it. It's fun. This would be more fun if more people would send in stuff so we have stuff to talk about. So
I know.
Whatever. I'll just make stuff up if not, because it is interesting. But
that would be fun.
We all just need to get our friends to start doing it. So, well, you guys don't have many friends. I should get mine. So,
wow.
Whoa. Sorry, Alex. You have friends.
My God. I have friends.
You do. You really do. Follow us on Twitter, 4 Horseman Pod. Send us emails, 4horsemanpod@gmail.com. We will see you guys next week. NFL season is right around the corner. Your drafts are getting done. Good luck. Don't draft quarterbacks early. Peace.